Well, howdy ho, good neighbor. It is apparent that I am at the dead side of Berkeley. Look around me. I'm standing in the middle of the street. You don't see a car. Either way, this used to be full of homeless people. And as you can see here, there's still a lot of remnants of fires and people still living here. But like I said, this is a dead side of Berkeley. Let me do a little bit of zooming in here. Look at this little corner here where you could sleep and dump your trash. And that's exactly what's happening, is people are dumping their trash and doing graffiti. If I do a little zoom in, can't even see the stairs. It's all so full of trash. So on the other side over here was a big fire. So we're gonna go check that out. But look at all these are empty, completely empty. So as far as you can see, this is just abandoned buildings. So if real estate is so valuable here in the Bay Area, why is all this empty? Look at this. All this, and it's right next to a freeway. So this is a ghost town, a prime example of businesses moving out of California. There is nobody here. Let me do a little zoom in. I'll lie to you and say, okay, there is somebody way down there. I don't know if he's illegally dumping, because that's what usually happens here. You got one homeless person living here. This used to be full. All this used to be full of RVs. But now they're all gone. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go do one little loop. And look at this. You see that behind me? There's no graffiti. What happened to all the graffiti on that building? So somebody's been doing cleanup. Normally it looks like that. Look at that. That's right. So normally it looks like that, but somebody has been cleaning this up. I don't know when all this is going to go away. I'll tell you what, I think this guy's either illegally dumping down here or he's being a scrapper. Look at, he's picking up stuff. So he might be a scrapper. So a lot of times these illegally dumps, there's still good, valuable stuff in there. So yeah, all this is empty, empty, empty. All right, let me, before I go drive around here, look at the size of this and look what's in here. Those look fairly new with no graffiti, like new engines or something. So maybe they still work on engines here. But yeah, those are some big tracks up there that they move around. Those are big engines. But like I said, all that is graffiti free. So somebody has been here cleaning up the graffiti. And I don't know what this guy's doing right there. He's loading something that's heavy. And I don't know if he's a scrapper. I don't know. So a lot of times these scrappers will go around to these piles and they will get whatever good metal is out of it. There's actually a good YouTube guy. His name is Scrap and Pallet Man. That's right, the name says it all. He goes around, he lives like in the Midwest, and he goes through and he finds these piles of scrap. So see, like these cars like this, what are they doing here? Are they dumping scrap? I don't know. But that is a problem here in Berkeley, these piles. So I don't know, you've seen him get into his car. So you don't know what they're doing when they get into their car or they get out of their car. Are they making YouTube videos? I don't know. But a lot of times you will find scrap like this. There's still good metal in it. So if there's good metal to be had, there it is. I don't know what that guy's doing, but yeah, see, like this is scrap metal. Scrap metal, scrap metal. An old coffee machine. But yeah, these buildings have seen better days, haven't they? All right, well, let's do a little drive around the ghost town of Berkeley, shall we? Yeah, look at this. This used to be industrial. Now it's just dust. Used to be industrial, now it's just gathering dust on the trail. All right, let's go. Okay, it is apparent. I got you in the truck, so look at this. I got to change that air freshener. I don't know if you could read that, but I'm going to change this to the big, the foot, like the atom. But that's Jeffrey Epstein. And the air freshener says, this air freshener didn't hang itself. How do you like it? All right, let's go. Focus. Here we go. We're going a little drive, zoom out, and we're headed. There's a mattress in the road. Be careful of that. And try to look for some graffiti places, graffiti-free places. You can see all that's got graffiti, but all these buildings are completely empty. Completely empty. Look at this. So this used to be full of homeless down that road. I don't know where they took them, or where they put them, I should say. But yeah, there's still some kind of businesses here. But very few businesses are here. So that's 80, that Interstate 80 that goes all the way across the country. All the way across the United States. But here's what I wanted to show you. Look at this building. We're going to get out right here. Look at this junk. I'm going to step out of the car real quick, put my hazards on. Is that someone's home? I don't know. Hazards on, let's get out. Let's go. Check your mirrors. But this is the Gilman overpass, and look at what we're looking at. A huge fire. That's right. So this thing has got its caution tape all around it. This is what's happening. When you have a building like this that sits empty, it's going to catch on fire. Now, it's probably a lot of times unintentional. They're trying to stay warm. But you can see that this was a big building, and really it was a good building, but it's going to have to be demolished now. So that's where those graffiti artists get in there, and they just have a great old time. But this was a big fire, wasn't it? Look at that. I wonder where the fire sprinklers were. Did they have fire sprinklers here? I don't see any evidence of any fire sprinklers in there. But when the fire's that hot, fire sprinklers aren't going to do any good. So, and you can see that the graffiti artist, or whatever you want to call them, they were inside there. And I don't know if that's someone's house right there or what. You just don't know. It looks like a pile of trash. I've actually passed piles of trash before that were people. There were people in there. But there you go. Let's just look at one side of this. Let's see if you could read that. It says Berkeley Construction. I don't know. But it's right here off of I-80 in Gilman. And you could see how hot that fire was. Look at that fire, started that building on fire. All the way from across the street. So all this, I'm sure, is going to get demolished. And boy, can you smell it. All right, when is this coming down? I don't know. Look at this bush. This bush has even gotten burnt. All right. Wow. Okay, well, let's get back out of here. I'm going to try to find a nice place to park. I don't think this will be here longer. I have my drone today because I'm only working half a day. And I knew I would be over here, so there's a couple spots that I want to drone. So let's get the drone in the air and see what this place looks like from the air, because it's going to be gone, I'm telling you. That's all going to be gone. All right. Prosperity. Let's just walk across the street real quick after it's safe. We are on our way home, and it is lunch break, so you wonder, what is this guy doing? Yep, he's on his lunch break. But look at this fence all broken up. Yeah, that's someone's house, I think. They got their tarp there. Yeah, all this will be coming down. You could see that from the freeway. All right, how about a screenshot? Yeah, let's go find a place. Oop. Let's go find a place to get the drone up in the air. Well, as always, I want to thank you again for coming along with me on these Berkeley Dead Town Adventures. You know the drill. Peace, love, and all that hippie jazz. Bye-bye, everybody. Yeah, that's a screenshot for sure. Postscript. I got to know if someone's living in here. What is here? Tarp. Nope. Looks like someone's bedding. All right, let's not get run over here. Let's go find a spot. Look at this big hole in the fence. This is how they were getting in. Wow. Not good, not good. Some good scrap metal here. That's all that's left is the scrap. All right, let's go do what we do best. You know the drill. Peace, love, and all that hippie jazz. Bye-bye, everybody. Scrap. Script. Before I get that drone in the air, this is the kind of stuff that is just rampant. Look at this. This is California right here. This is not unusual to see. Buildings like this are just dump sites. Look at all this paper. And those are piss bottles and poop bottles. You see that? There's someone's couch. Someone's other couch. And look at that's probably about 2 feet deep of trash. Look at all this. Trash. That was one pile. You can see someone dump their bags there. All this. Trash. Don't trash California. Look at this. Would you like it if I came to your city or your state or your town and the governors don't even care? Look what I'm looking at. Okay, as I pan this camera around from all this trash, look what's staring at me. Isn't this? See if this camera will zoom in. What does that say? Even on the freeway, it says trash. Wow. What a mess. Look at this. We got an Elmo here. I got to prop him up and see how long he lasts. Watch this. I'm going to prop up Elmo. There you go. My good deed. I just propped up Elmo. So anybody that comes by here on the freeway is going to see that. And that. Wow. Well, this will all be gone soon. This cannot last. This is just a big fire waiting to happen. So maybe that should be a screenshot. All right, postscript, over. You see, here's what happens. One person starts dumping and they all start dumping. All right. Well, as always, I want to thank you for coming along with me on these Don't Trash California adventures. I've already made plenty of videos about it. What would Elmo do? What would Elmo do? Okay, this is the streets of Berkeley, California. You could see somebody had a cooking accident. They were cooking something in there. I don't know if someone still lives there or not. But that was someone's home. So, if you have a home, be grateful. Definitely seen better days. Wow. Cars trying to get by, but I don't think no one lives in that anymore. Sad to see. You know what, a lot of times they get in a fight with their neighbor. So that's what happens. You get in a fight with your neighbor, it's called a dispute. So, all right, let's keep going here. But yeah, the streets of Berkeley. Both sides up here. They got pallets. They're living hard here, living large. And I heard cans. They got a lot of cans. Oh, script. We got some people going through other people's trash. So remember how I said they're scrappers? That lady just asked, do you want these shoes? So she's going through and trying to find any good clothes that she might wash. So she's definitely finding stuff. So remember what I always say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So that's what she's doing right there. I don't know whose boyfriend got kicked out and those are good clothes, or if someone stole luggage from the airport and just got rid of clothes. But she's got a gold mine of clothes. Look at this. So they're just going around from pile to pile picking stuff up. I hope they get some valuables out of that. It's almost like India, where people they go to the dump and pick up treasure. Yep, she's still finding good stuff. All right. Whoa, big rig coming through, low boy. Low bed. Imagine the stuff this guy sees. Berkeley, California. He was planning on parking there. Well, howdy ho, good neighbor. It is apparent that we almost took off, but I had to fly and land real quick. This is why I picked up my drone in my hand, and these very suspicious people were walking around me, so I did not want to be flying a drone with these very suspicious people kind of like loitering around me. And there's a hole in the fence right there, so these people were looking for scrap metal of any kind, and they were walking on the freeway. So I had to pick up my drone and act like I was just wandering around myself. They didn't see the drone, so I finally got the drone fired up. But you got to be very vigilant of your surroundings when you're flying an expensive drone, or any drone for that matter. But howdy ho, good neighbor. It is apparent we are flying high above Berkeley, California. That's right. We're right off of the freeway there. Look at that. And there's those people that were suspiciously following me or gazing at me, but I have a suspicious mind, so I don't know if, like I said, you just got to beware of your surroundings. So I got the drone in the air because I've always passed this side of Berkeley, and which we already know we call it the dead zone. The dead side of Berkeley. I call it that because there is nobody here. There used to be hundreds of homeless people here, and they ran them out. So all the businesses are empty. And when you have empty buildings, well, you have copper thieves that come in the middle of the night, and you have buildings that are vulnerable. And look at here. That's right, we have a big fire due to, well, if the building is empty forever, it must be homeless people inside. Or it could be an owner of the building that needs to get paid by insurance. But if you've ever dealt with the insurance company, you know that it is super hard to get paid. So you might just burn up your own building, but most likely it is homeless people trying to stay warm and cook meals. You can see that other building was just next to that building, so the fire department did a good job of saving that building. That could have been burnt up too. But I thought I would get the drone up in the air and give you a look at that building, because it will not be here that much longer. They will not let that building stand like that. They will charge the owner and say, you need to clean this up. So that's what's going to happen right here soon, is this building will be gone. So I always like to say posterity. That's right, this will not be here for long. So right here off of Gilman and 80 Interstate is where this building is, and it will not be here long. They really did do a good job of saving at least 3/4 of this building, so maybe it can be rebuilt. But usually something like this, the real estate, the ground it's on, is more valuable than the structure itself. But I am amazed on how big this building was and how big of a fire it could have been. And just imagine if that fire got out of control, it could burn all these buildings. And that's what happens. Those fires jump from one building to another. So if you think about it, these graffiti artists have been pretty much on the top of even the buildings that are still active. You can see graffiti artists have been up here. So just because you have a building in Berkeley doesn't mean that there's
not people on your roof at night. So a lot of times they will break in through your business through the roof. Now, I was just wondering, has this building been burned up? It's just a shell. So there's a lot of, like I said, dead part at Berkeley. Everywhere you see right here is empty. There are no people. There are no cars. There are no work trucks. There are no lunch trucks. There is just all this real estate that is empty, and it's very spooky because you are surrounded by so many people. So how long can the city of Berkeley continue to just let all these buildings sit empty? I don't know. That seems just like a lot of wasted space and a lot of wasted tax revenue. So just imagine how much money the city of Berkeley was making in taxes before all these businesses shut down. I'm not really sure what this big blue pipe and smokestack was, but I realized that there is a lot of that blue piping on these buildings, so I don't know what that blue piping represents. But as I was driving down the street, I did notice that I heard some grinding, and so I did notice that they are starting to destruct this building or tear it apart. And look at the trash. I did do a little ground footage there. I put the Elmo up on the pole there, but that's a good dumping spot. So if you ever want to dump your trash, well, just come on over to Gilman Street and the frontage road there, and you can just dump your trash for free. It really is disgusting to see how many places in California have become dump sites. Well, I didn't even know this building was even burned up until I got the drone in the air, because you can't see it from the street like the other one, but sure enough, here's more evidence that the homeless have been staying in these buildings and keeping warm. And look at all the stuff in that building. So just because these buildings are empty doesn't necessarily mean that they're empty. You know, a lot of people just move out and don't take the stuff with them. And here are all those blue pipes that I was talking about that you can see from the freeway there. And each one of those pipes has somebody's graffiti or tag on it. And this is where I noticed that the demo guys are demolitioning. You could see their cranes up there. Now, are they building stuff? Or are they tearing stuff apart? It was hard for me to see, but I don't see like a whole bunch of trucks with scrap metal. So it looks like they're almost building something there. So I don't know if they're tearing this building down or building something up. It's always hard to tell around these parts. So look at all that. What you see there is empty, except for this corner. Whatever is happening on this corner is new construction. So maybe this is the beginning of the end of those old buildings. Because like I said, this is too valuable a real estate to be sitting here. Look at it, thousands and thousands and thousands of square feet. And try to find one person. You won't. You might find a stray cat, but for the most part, all this, I would say 3 city blocks is empty and burnt up. So you won't see this anymore. It's one of those things that is going to be torn down fast, because real estate is valuable But like I always say, there's a poor little rich man out there that owns this real estate that can't get anybody into it. So just because you have your problems, remember, there's a poor little rich man out there that has just as many problems as you. He still has to pay security, and he has to pay maintenance on these buildings. So if you don't pay security, well, people will come moving in on them. And you can see by the color of these roofs, the rust, that means there hasn't been any maintenance or anything like that on these buildings in quite a while. So I'll give you one little last glimpse of this beauty. I don't know what that building was, but it does look like it has been burnt out, and they really have run all the homeless pretty much out of this area. I'm surprised how clean Berkeley has become. Well, before I end this video, I will show you exactly where the homeless went. California has a new law. The Supreme Court has passed a law that says you cannot camp on city streets. So my hat's off to Berkeley, my hat's off to Oakland, my hat's off to San Francisco. They have really been doing a good job of offering these people that live on the streets shelter. And if you don't accept the shelter, well, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Before, they would just say, I don't want to take your shelter, and they would leave them alone. But now, they've got all those blocks on the side of the road right there where they can't put their RVs. And this business has been booming. Before, they were just surrounded by homeless people on this road. And all the this road, you couldn't even drive down it. It was so full of RVs and camps. So my hat's off to Berkeley. Good job here. But if you look real close, this is where a lot of them went. Even though you can't see them, boy, this is a lot cleaner, and boy, a lot more sanitary. That other street smells, it really smelled bad when you drove down that street before, but now it's cleaned up. And here are all those people with a roof over their heads and bathrooms. Yep, you wouldn't believe it, but that's each one of those is somebody's little house. So I do believe that's a lot better than the camp sites that they were staying in. If you look, it doesn't look like they're that big from the ground, or from the air, I should say. But if I use my old zoomer, you can see that, yeah, there's enough room for all your stuff there. So the question is, do you get to have pets there? See, that's the problem, is a lot of these people do not want to go to these shelters because you can't have pets and you can't have alcohol and drugs. So a lot of these, I think, are empty because I do not see anybody here, not even on the lounge chairs there. They have that nice little lounge area, but no one's out today. And it wasn't like it was late at night or early in the morning. Oh, there was one person. I did not see him till right now. So there you go. That's where all those people that used to live on this street, I bet you they gave them the option. Either you move here or you got to get out of town. So there's a lot of homeless people still in Berkeley. Don't get me wrong. They're scattered all over the streets, and if you look real close, the RVs are everywhere. But they're not bundled up like they were on that one street that was just, oh, it was bad. So my hat's off to Berkeley for doing such a great job. Look at that street. You just don't get a cleaner street, but unfortunately, it's a ghost town here. But here is a new little community that seems to be a community. They all have the same style house, and they really stick out from the sky in Berkeley. So I don't know if this is low-income housing that the city of Berkeley produced, but it's definitely a stick out from all the old buildings in Berkeley. Well, there you go. The Berkeley's dead side. You can see right there, there's just 1,000 million people. Did that make any sense? There's just 1 million other people on the other side of the road, or should I say the other side of the tracks. That's right, because as soon as you get over these railroad tracks, it's a ghost land of just rotted steel. So, Berkeley, what are you going to do with all this land? You're just got money sitting on the table, as they say. No tax revenue. Well, this video's been a little long, but I always try to get enough in at once. Well, as always, I'd like to thank you again for coming along with me on these Berkeley, I would call it the Dead Side Adventures. That's right. The dead part of town. All right. You know the drill. Peace, love, and all that hippie jazz. Bye-bye, everybody.